Let's get Badmon.
Tariq, what's going on?
What's up, Badmon? How are you?
Well, how are you doing?
I'm chilling like a villain. What's on your mind?
Yeah, so I've been following you for a bit, and I'm curious, bro. Like this whole FBA thing. What is it all about?
Okay, well, when you ask that question, that means you are not FBA. So where's your family from, first of all? Where's your people from?
They're from the Caribbeans. I'm from Brooklyn,
Okay. The Jamaica or Haiti.
Jamaican and Trinidad.
Okay, there you go. So yeah, you know what it is. You know, foundational Black American. We are not immigrants. That's what a foundational Black American is. That's a Black person who is a non-immigrant and who has a non-immigrant background or has family members who are non-immigrants. It's that simple. And you know that. You know what a foundational Black American is, Batman.
Yeah, so honestly, I literally just found out about FBAs about maybe 2 months ago.
Okay.
And that was because I was being insulted by an FBA for like no reason. I went into a room and it was just like, why are Caribbeans disgusting and nasty? Yeah.
Mm,
So my question is,
but
go ahead.
that
I'm
wasn't
sorry.
cool. Yeah, that wasn't nice, but go ahead.
So Tariq, um, I what you're doing is pretty dope. You know, bringing black people together, fighting for reparations and all of that. I look at it as a like a modern day Malcolm X. You know,
Right.
that's what I look at you like. You know, something
Yeah,
similar. I'm not gonna put you on that type of caliber, but you know, I feel like you're like on that level because you gathered a lot of black people together and start a powerful movement. And this FBA
right.
thing is super powerful right now. I
Yes,
looked
it
it up
is.
on ChatGPT, and you're the head and founder of it.
Well, I just came up with the name and with the help of Dr. Claude Anderson, but I'm not really the founder of a lineage because when you talk about FBA, all I'm doing is talking about our lineage. So yeah, I'm not the head of anything. I'm just a regular foundational Black American like all these other brothers and sisters. But I understand, what some of the AI prompts will say. So
So my thing is, Mr. Tariq, is that what you're doing? Like I said, I respect it, but then again, it's sort of like you're segregating other. You call us tethers.
no, I don't. No, no, stop, 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 stop. No, no, no. No, you're not a tether because you're an immigrant. No, no, no. You- Because you're an immigrant. The tether is somebody who's doing something. A tether is a name that we put on things that's action based. That's a person who's trying to undermine us in some way. Somebody who's trying to undermine, denigrate, or sabotage us. That's tether. But you just being a non FBA, you're not a tether because of that. But go ahead.
All right, yeah, I'm glad you cleared that up. You know, because it's a lot of FBAs out here calling me a tether because I come from a Caribbean background and I'm first generation American.
Are they calling you tether because of that, or are you saying some shit in these rooms that's making folks say, "Hey, wait a minute"? Are you doing something that's funny style that people will take a certain way? Let's be honest.
I'm gonna be honest with you. There's been a lot of I'm not in the rooms, but there's a lot of confliction between me and a bunch of FBAs, and that's mainly because a lot of foundational Black Americans they believe that you know they're indigenous Black people. Now I'm not knocking that. I'm not saying that a lot of Black people, Black Americans, are not indigenous to America, but at the same time, you have to respect your roots, and your roots, for the most part, came from Africa, right?
Everybody's roots came from
True.
Africa,
Everybody's roots came from Africa. If you want to go back to Pangea, but we're talking about slavery days, right? The that triangle trade from the Caribbeans to America, right?
but here's the thing. Here's the thing. Only about 5 or 6%, or even less, came to North America. Most of the people who were brought from Africa went either to the Caribbean or South America. Only a very small percentage of Africans were brought to the continental United States. There were a lot of black aboriginals here, and we were mixed in with some of the African brothers and sisters. So we do have African DNA and lineage, but we also had what's called an ethnogenesis. We became a whole new ethnic group based on the circumstances, geography, and by virtue of us having to create a whole different culture. Like you and your family, you don't call yourself African Jamaican. You are Jamaican. You guys had an ethnogenesis in Jamaica. So your culture is different from the culture in Africa. The way you guys prepare your food, the way you dance, the slang, the accent that you have, it's a little different. There's still remnants of some Africanness there, but generally the Jamaicans, y'all got your own culture. You got a Jamaican culture, the food, things like that, the certain dances, reggae, things like that, which is good. That's not a problem. We too have the same thing. We had an ethnogenesis. We became foundational Black Americans. We're a different ethnic group. Our food is different. Our slang is different. Our culture is different. Our inventions are different. And that's okay. We're not generic Africans, which people got this thing where they try to make us some generic Africans. Y'all from somewhere in Africa. Well, everybody's from somewhere in Africa at one point, but we are a unique ethnic group, and that's okay. Just because we're acknowledging our unique lineage, that doesn't mean that we're denigrating other people. We're just not. People just have to respect that we are a unique ethnic group. That makes sense?
No, it make a lot of sense. I'm not gonna lie, it would make sense for you to clear it up, Tariq, um,
Right.
because other people, they haven't really, the other FBAs I spoke to or chat with, they haven't really broke it down like that. Um,
Yeah. But sometimes y'all go in these rooms, and if you're hostile, people are going to take your head off. And look, there's 43 million foundational Black Americans. So everybody, people have different dispositions. People have different, they just have different ways of doing things. But hell, it's 43 million people. So people are going to do things the way they do things.
no, and like I said, I completely respect it. But my only main issue is the conflict that is causing between like Caribbeans and Africans in America. And that it is causing, and I've watched your page as well. Like you, you would come at a few Africans and Caribbeans as well. Um, so it
But y'all don't know that the conflict ain't because of foundational Black Americans. See, that's the thing. See, that's the game that people like to play. The conflict ain't from us. We're getting some straightening. We're straightening things out. The conflict has always come from the non-FBA people, and the conflict is one-sided. We've been the ones helping you. Nobody has helped us. We've not received any help from any non-FBA people. And not only that, the conflict comes from people coming over here, and we elevate them and we bring them in our circles, and they secretly work against us. And that's a problem. We have Caribbeans and Africans who come over here, and we're on some, hey, brother, kumbaya, we all the same. And then y'all get over here, y'all start forming your little enclaves where you bring your folks in. Y'all get little job positions where you bring only your fellow Caribbeans in or your fellow Africans in. Y'all get in these political positions, then you start doing little things for your fellow Caribbeans. And then when we say, as foundational Black Americans, hey, we kind of need something over here, they have these non-FBA people who are gatekeeping resources we're supposed to get. And now we start getting the Obamas, who's non-FBA, the Kamalas, who's non-FBA, whole bunch of people on the Congressional Black Caucus who's not FBA, who will sit up here and do things for their fellow immigrants. And then when we say, hey, where's the stuff for us? We get a bunch of damn splaining. That's where the problem has been for the last 30, 40 years now. So it ain't us. We should have been getting this stuff straight a long time ago, and we're getting it straight now. We're not letting people come over here who's not from our lineage and misrepresent us. Those days are over. So if they think it's a conflict, you damn right it's a conflict. We should have been conflicting against that a long time ago. It's called straightening, and we should have been getting some straightening going on. Because if we went to Jamaica doing the stuff that some of these folks do to us, they would have been stoned in Jamaica. Y'all don't play like that. I've been all over Jamaica. Love Jamaica. Jamaicans don't fuck around like that. You better go to Jamaica and show all of the respect you're supposed to show to Jamaicans. You're not supposed to go over there getting into their political politics and trying to undermine them. They will not like it. We don't like it over here. So we're talking about respect and giving props to our lineage and not interfering with our political societies where we're trying to get things done and completed for foundational Black Americans. So it's all about respect. That makes sense?
No, yeah, Tariq, I completely get what you're saying. And I see why you guys are trying to delineate. Um, so going on what you said about the whole like conflict, right? Or and well, excuse me, I mentioned conflict. So there's
Right,
conflict. So I'm Jamaican and I'm Trinidadian. So even
right.
within the Caribbean community, right? There's conflict between Jamaican and Trini. I mean, you don't know that because it's irrelevant to you.
I've
Yeah.
heard, but go
Even
ahead.
with Jamaicans and Haitians, there's conflicts within the Black community. So here's a bigger question for you, Mr. Tariq. Will there be some type of unity between FBAs, Caribbeans, and Africans? You know what I'm saying? Because
The,
what's going?
okay,
Sorry,
okay,
what?
okay, let me answer that. Let me answer that. The problem is, ain't no unity in the Caribbean and ain't no unity in Africa. And y'all, that's the problem right there. And y'all come over here with that same disunity. And we the only ones on some, hey, we all brothers, let's all hold hands together. And we're getting shot in the back by doing that. And we're saying, hey, man, we don't need none of this off code nonsense going on. Y'all bringing this off code tribalistic mindset from the Caribbean and from Africa that y'all use to undermine each other there. That's why ain't nobody building nothing because everybody's trying to cut each other's throat. And then y'all want to bring that to us. And we're saying that's not going to work because if we are sitting up here down bad and being undermined, Black people in general are going to be down bad because we're the only ones at the vanguard of stepping to white supremacists to make sure that Black people get something. We are the only ones doing that. So we cannot be undermined because the whole future of the Black race globally lies in the hands of foundational Black Americans. We are literally the gatekeepers for Blackness worldwide. So we really have to stand on business. And I'm glad that we are delineating to let folks know all of the riders who are non FBA, if you cool, you stay there and be cool. But the tether class who likes to come and undermine people, we're getting them out the damn paint. And that's what it is. All right, but Batman, thank you so much for the call, man. I really
Wait,
appreciate it,
Mr.
brother.
Tariq, one last thing, bro. I'm sorry. One last thing.
Go
Yeah,
ahead. Go ahead.
I understood what you just said right there as well. Um, but you do know the real enemy is the flower folks, right? Like, and you said that just now that the Caribbeans and the Africans we can't get it together, right? But why you think
Mm-hmm.
we can't get it together, bro? We're being colonized still. We're being manipulated by these people, by the devils. So with FBA's, what you guys are doing, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not fighting the real war because, well, some of you are not fighting that real war. The real war is between the Kamala, who's doing demonic shit. You know, the politician, because FBA's is not in politicians. You know, FBA's is not, owning land. We're still excuse me, FBA's are still the minority in America. So you guys are warring with other melanated people from foreign lands instead of like fighting the real issue. You know what I'm saying? And the real issue is getting people, Black people, you know, on financial literacy. That's one. Two, that degenerate ass fucking music from your girl Sexy Red. That's killing the Black community right there. And Black on Black crime. Yes, cops are killing cops are killing Black people, but they're is definitely a lot of black on black crime, especially in Chicago. And I'm from Brooklyn, Flatbush, and there's mad black crimes out here too.
Hold on, hold on, hold on. Now you can't sit and say "Sexy Red" and talk about her music and the degeneracy. Well, you have to
Go ahead, go ahead,
come on,
go ahead,
bro.
go
Your girl
ahead.
Minaj, Nicki, she ain't no better. Nicki no better. She's from your culture. I mean, Jamaican coach, come on, dude. I didn't been to Jamaica, brother. You talking about degenerate music, all that jumping and grinding on each other and jumping off and hunching. Then the damn Caribbean Day Parade, y'all running around with your ashy asses out and titties
You
out.
see what I'm saying? How you insulting us? You had to put the adjective ashy ass, right?
Oh, but
You see that? I didn't insult you.
yeah, y'all ashy, running around Brooklyn ashy with feathers on, running around at the Caribbean Day Parade. Come on now, y'all. Come on now. Let's not point the finger. There's some of that degeneracy that comes from the Caribbean. All that twerking with Luke and all that came from the
The twerking,
Caribbean.
the
All that,
twerking.
all that,
Nah,
all that twerking.
Caribbean
Yes,
don't twerk. We whine. We whine. There's a difference between
man.
twerking and whining.
Whining, twerking is just fast whining. All that stuff came in with Luke and those guys. And he's Caribbean too. He's your fellow Caribbean. And he even brags about that stuff. So yeah, we gotta, this is what we're talking about. You want to talk about where some of the degenerate culture comes from? A lot of that's coming from the Caribbean and Africa. When we look at love and hip hop, those are Caribbean producers who put that stuff together. The Mona Scott Youngs and all of them, those are non-FBA people. See, this is why delineation is very important because people start bringing some of this stuff from their culture and throw it on to us, and it's looking funny style. You know, there was a tweet earlier of this black woman who was bragging about getting an abortion. She was up in an abortion clinic twerking, and they were trying to put black culture, black culture. Now this chick is a damn Haitian. It's a Haitian chick. I forgot her name. She's a real dark skinned chick. She's Haitian, and I think they say she does porn. So I don't know. I don't know. But she's definitely a non-FBA chick. So again, these folks come over here and do real ratchet, degenerate stuff, and then it gets thrown onto us, and we're saying, no, we don't want that stuff thrown on us because what happens is we get all of the negative connotations, and it's other people doing this stuff. My guy just texted me saying that Sexy Red's manager is Haitian. Yeah. Let me get my brother EJ in the building. Let's get EJ in the house. EJ, what's up, EJ? I'm good, man. How are you, sir?
Yeah, I'm doing good. I ain't like that shit that last Jamaican Patty E nigga was talking about because he was doing good and y'all was having a constructive conversation. And then he just tilted his head to the side and a coconut fell on the top of his head. And he just started coming with the hatred and the vitriol. See, this is what I don't like about certain people coming from different environments. And I don't have no problem from where other people come from because black people that's on code or from different parts of the world. And it just goes to show you that when you be talking to some of these people, yeah, they talk good from time to time, but that tether mentality, it just come out like flies out of their mouth. And this just goes to show you that certain people like that, when you have like constructive conversations with them, the tether and some of the hatred just come out. You don't really hear them talking about these Chinese people in their homelands beating their asses with bamboo sticks, or you got different people from different cultures speaking their language, speaking their lingo, and most of the time doing better music than them. So it was just very disingenuous for that screw face Negro to come up here just to be talking stupid like that. We can have constructive conversations, when it comes to different cultures, but just don't bring your ass in this space, being disingenuous when your homeland is being controlled by Asians and other people. And the British still control y'all, and y'all niggas is still crying over the queen dying. And she been eating maggots over the past year and change. But thank you, brother Tariq, for letting me come on. Peace out, brother.
Thank you, brother. Let's get T Roy in the building. T
Yo, peace
Roy.
and blessings, Tariq. Thank you for having me up. Peace and blessings to the chat. Yeah, I just wanted to just one thing on the the whole soul food thing because during the World War, we even taught Koreans, South Koreans specifically, how to make chicken, and now that's the most popular. dish in Korea today. And to yeah.
Oh
And
yeah.
to touch on the the whole Caribbean thing I just touched on, man. Yeah, with that twerking, that fast whining shit. I've never. That's something recently, in Black American culture. Cause I just asked not too long ago. Can anybody pull a video up of Black Americans, Black American women twerking before the 1990s? And like, there's no video that people can pull up. So that's the degenerate culture that the Caribbeans bring over here to the Americas. But I just land here.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Yeah, look at all episodes of Soul Train. The women, they were sexy, but they weren't dancing stank. They weren't twerking. Go look at Soul Train in the 80s. They weren't twerking. They do a little booty shake here and there, but they would be sexy, but it would be fly. They would be real fly with it. That twerking stuff, that was with Luke. Luke brought all that stuff over here. Yeah. That's where that started in Miami. All that twerking stuff started in Miami. Yeah. Where all that, people booty popping and coochie popping in the streets like they do in Carnival. In the Caribbean Day Parade, everybody put them feathers on and run out there and start putting on thongs, shaking ass in the streets. That's come on now. That's their culture. All right. Let's get what was this? Let's get One Love. One Love Black. I think that's your name. One Love Black. What's up, One Love?
Oh my goodness.
One Love.
Hi, how are you? I didn't even know I had pressed the button. Normally I'm just in the bottom listening. Hi, how are
Oh, you
you?
got on. Hi, One
I'm
Love.
doing well. How are you doing, Tariq? Hi, shout out to the family, to the descendant community. I was really upset listening to that dude. I honestly, I can't stand it when people do like revisionist history and then try to bring up Pangea. And then, Nicki Minaj and Drake literally proved that the moment they disagree with something that Black Americans say or do, they revert to calling us out our names, treating us as if we don't exist or our history and presence in culture doesn't even matter. So to hear him try to put solely the information of or the unity piece on the backs of us, for everybody else, other melanated groups, that's crazy.
Right, right.
So crazy. And it's wild that they have this cognitive dissonance that they practice even amongst themselves. Their comprehension is so different. The way they speak, how they address us, is so different.
Right, right. And it's a bunch of gaslighting too. And thank you, beloved. It's a lot of gaslighting. They do all this stuff, and then when we check them on it, then they want to act like victims. Oh, you FBA niggas are so divisive. You are divisive. And you guys are the main ones separating yourself. You come over here grabbing all the resources you can that's meant for us, and then separating yourself. If you get anything, you make sure we don't even come close to touching it. The minute a Caribbean comes over here, if they get over here, if they get something, boy, they go out of their way to make sure we don't even touch it. If they get any kind of praise and accolades as an individual, they make sure that we don't get to enjoy that win. They make sure to let folks know it's a Caribbean win. Just like when Cheryl Lee Ralph kept winning like her little Emmy Awards and all that, and she's been around for years, but now that she's winning some Emmy Awards and all that, all of a sudden she's Caribbean, Jamaican. Just you've been hearing about how Jamaican this woman was. And Shirley Ralph has been around since the 70s. That woman was on episodes of Good Times and shit. She's been around forever. Now that she's winning awards, she's Caribbean, Jamaican. They do that all the time. Whenever they win something, they make sure we don't get to relish in the credit of it. But if something negative, oh, we all black. And we're saying enough of that. You're not going to dump your trash on us. Don't throw us in line with your trash. And when you winning, you are the main ones who want to separate. We're saying we're going to keep the same energy across the board. Everybody hold your own nuts. Your own and hold your own losses. We do it like that because you're going to hold your own wins anyway. So hold them losses too. Take your L's with you. Don't take a loss and then throw it at us. Yeah? We're not going to do that at all. All right, but I've been on here for a long time, and we are deep in here, man. We are deep in here. Let me get some more sisters in here. Pinky, hop on in here, Pinky. Pinky, hop on in here. Get some of these sisters in here. What's up, Pink? Hello, Pinky? All right. Pinky, you're not saying nothing? What's going on there? All right. Pinky, unmute your microphone. Pinky must be a dude. Pinky, are you a dude using a catfish account? That's what you use to get money out of niggas. You got a fake account. You pretending to be a chick. Pinky is really a man. Pinky is stinky. All right. Let's get somebody else in here. We get Stinky Pinky up out of here. All right, y'all don't follow Pinky, guys. I think that's a man. All right. Pinky's in here trying to catfish a couple of dollars. All right. Let's get Observant. Let's get Observant in here. What's up, Observant? Unmute your microphone. I'm good, man. How are you, Observant? Oh, there you
What
go.
I find absolutely funny is that people from all over the world, from these shithole countries, they calling over there and trying to tell Black Americans what to do. They're always watching what you guys are doing when they need to take care of the matters that are very serious in their own homelands, but they're quick to point a finger at you guys when you guys are setting the standards on how we should conduct ourselves all over the world as a melanated people, you know. And another thing is like this thing where they trying to Africanize Black Americans, man. That's absolute nonsense. Like Black Americans are actually the oldest people in the world. Like let's use logic for example. Why is it that everybody else like that's melanated is always following what Black Americans are doing? Like how can the mother and the father, if they're claiming to be that, follow the child? So Black Americans are the oldest, and these Africans and Caribbeans, those are new cultures. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm gonna land my plane right there. So thank you very much.
All right, Observant. Observant's all over the place. All right, let's get Mr. Miles in here. Mr. Miles. Mr. Miles in the building. Mr. Miles.
Hey, good morning there, Tariq. How you doing this morning?
I'm good, Mr. Miles. How are you, sir?
I'm doing fairly well, sir. Thank you. Thank you for having me up. I really enjoy you guys' conversation. I'll be listening to you guys. I'm at work. I'm out here driving. I'll be listening to you. I heard you had a caller on YouTube was saying that you have a lot of your people listening that don't be working. That's why they be up listening. I was like, come on, man. I don't. I had to
Yeah,
say something that negative. I say black people, we don't work. We work hard. But with
absolutely.
that FBA, how would a person find out if they really truly FBA? How can they go about? Can we take blood tests or how that works?
Yeah, you would know. I mean, that's not, yeah, your mama, your grandmama.
Oh,
Hell, if you got a mom or a grandma, they'll know.
well, my grandmother on my mother's side is passed, and my mother is passed. She passed out 15, but we're from South Carolina. My dad from South Carolina, all his people, and my mother's people are from South Carolina, Florence County area and the Marion County area. But my aunt and all of them still live in South Carolina. So other than that, but we had they moved to Jersey and they got things started in Jersey. Then we had moved to Detroit, and then we It was a back and forth, you know.
So yeah, man, listen. If you got grandparents or parents or aunts, you could just talk to them and find out who's who in the family
Okay.
and find out who immigrated. Did they say if anybody immigrated over
No,
here?
no, not, absolutely not. Matter of fact, my dad, he used to work for a white man when he was a young kid, about 9, 10 years old, down in Marion, South Carolina. He used to train Tennessee walking horses for him. And he said he still remember the man called Stackhouse. And he said the guy used to pay him a nab and a Pepsi Cola. And when they went to the store, he used to get to the store and say, "Go ahead and get my niggas," excuse me. But that's what to this day, my dad's 72 years old. He'd tell you if he saw that man's grave, he'd spit on it. But one thing about it,
Yeah,
my dad, he all behind the Democrat Party. He been in the military and everything. He got with this woman in North Carolina, younger woman, and all her family about Democrats. And I was trying to tell my dad about reparations and stuff and everything. Oh, we ain't gonna get nothing. We ain't gonna get nothing. He's so negative, you know. And I said, why you want to run
right.
behind them Democrats and them? I said, what's with the same thing you always say, tangible. He always say, you better vote. You better vote. People done went through all this and vote. I said, Dad, what we gonna get out of it? What we gonna get out of it? What we getting out of it? The
Yeah,
last 4
yeah,
decades, I'm 46 years old. I haven't seen anything come down the pipeline for the black man yet.
yeah. But people are still trying to loyalty to the Democrats, and again, that's who the Democrats' audience is. A lot of old, elderly black people who are they're just going to vote out of loyalty. They're just going to vote just so they can get out the house and do something constructive that day. But to them, voting is like the club for the elderly. It's like, ooh, I was gonna get out here and vote. I want to meet me some women at the polls. Is that type of thing. That's like going to an elderly club. So yeah, you got a lot of the elders, the elderly, unfortunately, who's just gonna vote for the hell of it. Well, we got to get out here and vote, man. You see, I got jumped on in Selma. We got to get out here and get it in. So yeah, you're not really going to change their minds, and it is what it is. All right, let me get out of here. RJ, stop giving the thumbs down with your little old crusty Ebola thumb. I see you giving the thumbs down, trying to get some attention. Hey family, speaking of musty, go to rootworkstyle.com. Rootworkstyle.com. Get the Rootwork deodorant. Get the movie Microphone Check at microphonecheck.com, ladies and gentlemen. Microphone Check at microphonecheck.com.
Rude work, feel that natural flow. Rude work, stay fresh wherever you go. Rude work, I like the way it feels. Rude work, the magic is so real. Rude work.
In Mississippi and listening to other people talk about their family history, I soon learned there was a hidden secret in America. What was this secret? What's not in the textbooks that most people who go to Harvard University and other Ivy League colleges wasn't taught? The second coming of slavery. And some books that say it was called worse than slavery. What could be worse than slavery? Well, in slavery as chattel property, they had a reason to protect their property, feed their property, clothe their property. But when slavery was abolished, it had a different look. And I want to take you down that road.
Message.
It's a part of my history. And it is a part of the history that makes America what it is. Let's take that journey. What's not in the history books? The untold history of involuntary servitude, which was another name for slavery, because no one volunteered to go back in slavery. When did slavery end in America? Like most people, I learned that it ended in 1863. But I learned differently. 1863, 1865, as Juneteenth approaches in Galveston, Texas, is saying we're about to celebrate our history of freedom. The Gullah Geechees in South Carolina told me 2 weeks ago, April the 2nd, we got our freedom in 1865. 1944, 1963, in the height of the Civil Rights Movement. What are we talking about? People still being in slavery.
Message.
1973, 2000. Did I miss something? 1973, 2000? I can only imagine my ancestors just rejoicing and being so happy that they are free, and that they probably danced and cried and became emotional probably for 24 hours and then realized, where am I going to go? We have no food. We have nowhere to go. We have no clothes. We have elderly people with us. We have disabled people with us. What are we going to do? So, as President Abraham Lincoln said, well, we would devise a new contract called the Freedmen Bureau contracts. And I do believe in my research that they didn't make their X. If you can make an X, you can make an A. You can write an A, you can write a B. Even the X was forged, forcing children as young as 5 years old to work on these plantations for the remainder of their life, unless they ran away and found freedom. I took the plane and I went to Washington, D.C. to the National Archives and looked in the classification record group 50 and 60. So I'm sitting there reading these documents and the tears is flowing down my eyes because I couldn't believe what I was reading. What do you mean, the new coming of slavery? They told us we was free. I soon learned it was on paper.
Message.
The cases that I found revealed that slavery exists in 20 states. How do I know? The records that I'm going to introduce you to will tell you that slavery exists in 20 states. The states that I cover, Louisiana, Mississippi, because that's where my ancestors was in these states here. May and Arthur is still living. We lost May. And she was the modern day Harriet Tubman, because she said, they can't do to me what they haven't already done.
Message.
At least if I'ma die, let me die free.
Message.
I'ma tell it.
Message.
And we held hands. Now let's tell it together, her freedom. The time that I spent with May, listening to our story, and how they had to eat birds, and we can't even imagine trying to eat a little robin or bird eggs just to have food to eat. And I remember one day I wanted to drive to this place called Gilbert, Mississippi. I was frightened just driving there because it feels like the hair on my arm was standing up because, I had to just go instinctively as to where am I? These places that most of those that was enslaved was in isolated communities. Off the main highway, down those dusty roads, no trespassing signs. This is how they was kept enslaved. The Wall family consists of a father, mother, and 7 children. The 5 older children was the ones that was held enslaved. May and Arthur were sharecroppers in Gilbert, Mississippi. At the end of crop year, they was told they didn't make money for the pay. They didn't make enough money to pay for the seeds, the tools, and other items. Each year, like most of the people that was enslaved, try next year, you may do a little better and you can pay off your debt. They never could pay off their debt. First of all, who was going to challenge them? Who was going to challenge the sheriff, the judge, the business owners, the rich farmers? You dare not question them. As May tell it, and this is what she told ABC, Nightline. She spent her youth in Mississippi as a slave, picking cotton, pulling corn, picking peas, picking butter beans, picking string beans, digging potatoes, whatever it was, that's what you did for no money at all. Millie and her sister Annie tells of bondage ending in the 60s. Annie is still afraid today. She's afraid to talk about it. She was afraid that day because she thought they was going to kill her. And one day when CNN came to me and they wanted to talk to their father, who was 107 years old at that time, well, he gave me his story. He talked about what he saw, what he went through. He called the names out. And one day while watching TV, he saw this white man on the television, and he thought the man was coming to get him because he shared his story with me. He went into the hospital, and the family banned me for 1 year because they didn't want to lose their father. They was afraid of he was going to have a heart attack. And it was then he said, no, I started talking to her, and I'm going to finish it. Arthur's story. This is May and her two brothers. I took them back to Gillsburg, Mississippi for the first time in 50 years. And if a picture can tell a story, the fright that was on all three of their faces, I couldn't understand that fright, but they knew if anybody passed down the road and saw them, what that could have meant for them. There's only one person that's still living, and that's the man with the dark shirt on. That is Arthur. I'm sorry that Arthur couldn't be here today due to health reasons, but this is in his words.
And we couldn't leave. You know, we was on those people's place. I'm telling you about. So I don't know who owned all of them, but Lonzo Gordon was the main man. That
Arthur, well, his father talked about how his uncle had to dig his own grave. And when he dug that grave, he didn't know what he was digging it for. But they shot him because they wanted to have a relationship with his wife, and his wife said no that day. And once again, you don't tell a white man no in the South. What did that mean? Letters to the presidents of the United States. Who would have thought that after President Abraham Lincoln emancipated those? Thank you, David. That letters would be written to other presidents asking them to free those that were still in slavery. Files from the Department of Justice, the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, the FBI files. The three presidents that was aware that slavery wasn't abolished: Calvin Coolidge, Warren Harding, and Franklin D. Roosevelt received letters asking that they abolish this new form of slavery. This letter that Calvin Coolidge wrote, this letter was written to Calvin Coolidge in 1927. In Vicksburg, Mississippi, free people are being herded back to the plantation. The planters hold their laborers at gunpoint. I want to go back there. And when I scanned this document at the National Archives, I said, there's going to be people who do not believe this, so let me just scan it in its natural form. And even with what you see, some people still doubt it. And I begin to understand why May said what she said. Who's going to believe me? And I soon learned who was going to believe me when I spoke the truth. Franklin D. Roosevelt, 1942. It brings me to mind my mother was born in 1940. So slavery was well and alive.
Message.
This letter came out of Hiding Valley, Mississippi. 300 to 500 Negroes bound in the shackles of slavery. The plantation is well guarded. Many men and women was killed on these plantations. Letters like this and documents like this made me realize, what am I looking at? Torture, abuse, murders, beatings. I felt, why wasn't this in the history book? Why didn't he talk about this? Why was this the best kept secret in America? Message! 1944, again, Sunflower, Mississippi. William Henry Huff, the director for the Abolished Peonage Committee of America, he was writing, asking the president to end and to eradicate the new form of slavery. Would you please end it? Now, if slavery wasn't in existence, why would we still be asking 3 presidents to end slavery in America? The hometown, the childhood hometown of Kosciuszko, Mississippi. And this is one of the documents I'll never forget, because when I went to the courthouse and the records was in the attic, and they was told that they don't go in the attic because ghosts is in the attic. My opportunity. I'm going in that attic. I'm gonna make as much noise as I can as the ghost talking. I'm free. And so the one thing I told the ghost, look, I just need you to show me the papers. Show me where it's at. I'm here to set you free. So I just started moving stuff around and making noise to really make them think that ghost was really in the attic. But what was in the attic was these stories that wanted to come out the attic, that they was hiding in the attic. You know, we always think about what's in the attic. Murders was in the attic. Records was in the attic that you couldn't access. This sheriff, he was arresting colored as well as white people on trumped up charges and placing heavy fines to work at the sawmill. And I wrote a letter to Oprah, can you do a segment on this? Never got any reply. But when I was in Zambia, I know I want to get out of there, because when I think about this part of the world, I think about Philadelphia, Mississippi, where those civil rights boys was killed. Once again, my hair stood up on my own, because when I met resistance, when I knew that I was in the courthouse, and I remember this man looking at me, and when he was looking at me, it was like saying, oh, I just wish that we can turn back the hands of time, because you won't be touching those records. So I took my beautiful black golden hand and I touched all the documents, because I knew that he couldn't do anything about it. But in his eyes it said, if I could, you one of the lucky ones. The Federal Bureau of Investigation, 1943. When I think about Mississippi, most of us that know anything about Nina Simone, they say Mississippi, goddamn. And Mississippi right now is still trying to turn back the hands of time and walk them back. Come on. Jim Crow, Jane Crow, let's turn back the hands of time. We're back at it again. Now this is what another white man was saying about another white. He said, word has a reputation that any Negro born on his plantation must remain there for the rest of his life in 1943. So that means if a child was born in that plantation in 1943, in 1963, he still was owned by this man. $150 just to be born in the sharecropper's floor or in the cotton field. That's what he was saying. You owe me and you're not getting away. Before I close out, I met a man named Willie King, and he was one of the finest blues singers in the Mississippi Delta that I met. And he said, Antoinette, he said, they Muddy Waters arranged for me to perform on this plantation, but I had to meet them at the store. And when he met them at the store in 1970s now, they blindfolded him. And they picked him up at the store. And they took him to the plantation. And he said, when I got to the plantation, it was like back in the 1800s. Not only did those that was enslaved talk about it, but there's some who feel like what their ancestors and what their family members did is not right. And it's going to take people to stand up for what is right. Slavery is wrong in any form. It is wrong. And what was done to those like May and like her family is she went to her grave, but she was free because she told her story.